Welcome to the Dream Journal. From the studios of KSQD in Santa Cruz, the Dream Journal is a weekly show where we explore the power of nighttime dreams through conversations with dream experts and with listeners like you.
In the house behind, the life you find is something understood. So there's no
A dream can be meaningful even if you don't know what it means.
we are not alone. Water over stone, even if you're by yourself.
And today's music, created fresh for you by Rick Kleffel, is called Fastidial. The spirit of dreaming in Shakespeare and beyond. Dreams as play, and also long-term dream journaling. Today, a conversation with prolific author Dr. Kelly Bulkeley. I'm going to check in with a recent dream of mine. As listeners probably know by now, I love to play ukulele. I love to lead music around the fire. And I've had so many dreams helping me get used to that, being outside, being out of my comfort zone and leading people. And a couple of recent dreams. One is my husband's brother, who's a musician, is standing around a boombox with me, and we're figuring out all the features of the boombox. Apparently there's a keyboard as part of this, and one of the cool things is I'm wrapping up these metal wires and putting them away, like getting rid of some of my jitteriness, maybe getting rid of some of my nerves. So it's just a little way that dreams help. They do seem to help a little bit every day, whether we remember them or not. Amazing. Now let's meet Kelly Bulkeley. Hello, Kelly. Good to have you on the show.
Yeah, hi, Kathy. Good to be with you. Yeah.
Excellent. Kelly Bulkeley, PhD, is a psychologist of religion focusing on dreams. He is director of the Sleep and Dream Database, senior editor of the journal Dreaming, and former IASD president. His recent books include The Scribes of Sleep, 2020 Dreams, Escape from Mercury, and The Spirituality of Dreaming. And you can find our guest at bulkeley.org. That's bulkeley.org. Bulkeley.org. Also, the Sleep and Dream Database.org is another resource there. So this is just three of your recent recent books.
Mhm.
And you have quite a few books coming along. And I wanted to just say, wow. It's fabulous to meet a writer who's been so successful at getting the word about dreams out there. That's what this show is all about, getting people
Yeah.
interested in dreaming. So thank you for that.
Yeah. No, thank you to my muses who have always been very, very good and inspiring. There's just writing about dreams has been, I've never had sort of the empty page issue. Just always, blank page, like, what do I write?
Right.
That's not been a problem. It's just
That's
like
not the
time.
issue.
It's just like time. Yeah, no, dreams are just,
Ah.
very inspiring themselves.
Okay. And your new book that is called is about the spirit of Shakespeare, right? The spirit of dreaming in Shakespeare.
Yeah.
So we were just at the IASD conference, and we saw this amazing play, the Midsummer's Night's Dream. And I know that you're really involved in that Shakespeare. And Shakespeare's happening right here in Santa Cruz right now.
Yeah.
We have a Santa Cruz Shakespeare Company, which is world famous.
Yeah.
And I personally just saw Macbeth, and we're going to see Much Ado About Nothing. There's also
Nice.
Coward Play, and it's
Excellent.
it's great. This whole thing about plays. What is it about plays? They show up
Yeah.
in dreams so often. Oh my God.
Yeah. Well, I've been interested in Shakespeare and seeing Shakespeare plays and throughout my life, and not really like specializing in that, or I wasn't an English major, but always recognizing there are a lot of interesting dream passages in Shakespeare's plays. And then about 10 years ago now, I had the chance to become a member of the board of directors of the Oregon Shakespeare Festival, so in Ashland, and that's and for 9 wonderful, but really like what a bucking bronco of a process. was on that board and worked with some great artistic directors uh, and I learned two things that quickly like
Yeah.
there's always drama. Like there's always drama. Just like things are always like how's it gonna work? But there's also always this amazing can do, we're gonna get it done spirit.
The show
So
must go on.
the show must go on. So it
Mm.
really I did my time. I kind of my nerves, kind of your dream, and then settling the nerves. Like yes, that I think for mental health long term, I think I've done my service. But I did really learn even more about Shakespeare and not just how his plays portray dreams, but how the way he has portrayed dreams have shaped the way we today think about dreams. And this is a
Really?
much bigger thing. We could go on and on about this, but
Why don't you say a little
no,
more about that? That's very interesting. The Shakespeare has actually shaped the way we think about dreams.
well, I think that he recognized he gave us language
Mhm.
for all aspects. He some of his characters say the most negative things you could possibly say about dreams. Better, more articulate than the most intense materialist scientists today. But what's interesting is Shakespeare will not just have characters say these things, but he'll give a lived context and it elicits an audience a question like, so why would a person say that at that time? Why would a person, when someone tells them a dream, say, that's stupid, you're a dreamer, which is what Julius Caesar says when somebody comes up and says, you better watch out. There's been, uh, throughout Shakespeare's plays, authorities deny dreams and resist dreams. So it's just, there's all sorts of ways in which we can learn about contemporary ways of our culture deals with dreams and thinks about dreams in positive and negative ways by digging into these plays. So.
Mm-hmm. Right. And there's like this the Midsummer's Night's Dream, which we saw up in at the ISD conference, was a great example of where dreams overlap with waking life, and that is sometimes not clear which is a dream and which is waking life. Like one of the characters ends up having a donkey's head, and like, is that true? And there's these fairies that do these magical things. It's like, what is that dream, or is that waking life?
Well, and this is where his plays, and let's remember that in the Western theatrical context and many other traditions as well, but theater is originally comes out of ritual and out of religious practice and efforts to create a sacred space in which to invoke the presence of the gods. So theater is, and in Shakespeare's time, this is why the church, this is why the Protestants hated the theater so much. Like it was a rival, it was a rival way of accessing spiritually powerful realities. And to my reading, Shakespeare recognized that when people gather together in a special place and share an intense imaginal experience, it is the equivalent to a shared dream. And he, in my view, plays with that and expands on that in the deep spiritual potentials of fully appreciating that level of our interconnectedness and powers of our shared imagination.
I never understood why there was a great objection to plays, and that actually explains a bit, because we are having an experience together when we go see a play, and including the actors on stage. One thing I really love about live plays, movies are fabulous too, and they have this kind of shared experience, but there's something about a live play where you have people up on stage, and for 2.5 hours or whatever, the Shakespeare plays are often quite long, they have memorized hundreds of thousands of lines, and they're interacting like 7-10 people at a time with this pre-rehearsed thing. There's just something very human about, you see them sweating up on stage, and like occasionally they'll like repeat a line or something, and they're like, there's something very human about going through this experience, even with the actors.
Yeah, and a big part of Shakespeare's art is the way he elicits the audience's engagement. All he at the time, all they had was a bare stage and some costumes and the words. That's it, and yet by bringing the audience in and triggering ways that they can kind of imaginatively, participate and co-create. It's really a co-created art. You can't really have theater without an audience. And it just doesn't. That's a dress rehearsal. It's not. That's not the art. So, and in this way, this is why there are not just metaphorical but literal ways in which it elicits an experience of shared dreaming, that we really that with a group of people we are sharing this intense imaginal experience in a real yet not real way, and yeah. So
Okay, interesting. So I want to bring in the piece about how our dreams are
yeah,
like plays. And well, this may be a sidetrack, but I'm going to add on this piece that
yeah,
I've noticed in my dreams and in my people I work with, that the theme of a play, or being on stage, or being in an audience, or being somehow involved in a play,
mm-hmm.
or being backstage, is very, very common theme
Yes,
in dreams.
yeah. There's something about uh the representation of a different identity, or slipping into a new kind of life, a new kind of world, that the like all art forms really offer that invitation. Theater does so in, like you were saying, a kind of experientially very powerful and immediate way. And yeah, that ricochets back into the dreams. I in the proposal for the book, I had a chapter planned for people's dreams about Shakespeare,
All right.
and about plays, from actors, from
Oh.
audience members. And I gathered a few, but I realized quickly, like, each one was kind of had its own, as dreams do, its own kind of complicated surrounding story. And I realized this is probably a whole other project. So that might be volume 2. The spirit of dreaming in Shakespeare. The dreamers speak, something like that. Because I did hear some just, I mean, performers, they all, big surprise, they dream about this stuff all the time. Audience members too, but certainly theater professionals, being by nature, creative, open to experience, thin boundaried, all these things that we associate with vivid dreaming. Indeed, they are vivid dreamers, and with dreams that give them insights into their characters, that give them subtle, ideas about how to speak a certain line. Yeah, all of that. So,
Totally, totally. And then there's the aspect that dreams themselves are plays, that are like, we are
yeah,
acting in that play, we are starring in the play, we're producing the play, we're watching the play, like we're all those different parts of the whole play scene in the dream, as the dream itself.
yeah. Yeah, well, this is the great thing about the ending of A Midsummer Night's Dream, where many plays at Shakespeare's time, they would end with an epilogue. Somebody saying, end of the play. Thank you. Hope we didn't offend anybody. Pass the hat around. Donations welcome. The end of Midsummer Night's Dream, the epilogue is delivered by Puck, right? The greatest, he's the greatest trickster perhaps in all of literature.
Yeah.
And he says, I hope we haven't offended anybody, which is a theme in the play too. Like, does the imagination disrupt the ruling class? That's a like, you got to be careful. And Shakespeare himself, a lower class person, performing in front of the royalty, he's got to be careful, right? So Puck says, if we've offended anybody, just think of this, that it's just been a dream, right? And so it's all good. And what's interesting is that, to me, that if you take the kind of the authorities' point of view of Theseus, of Oberon, kind of the male patriarchal authority, yes, it was just a dream, and dreams are nonsense, right? So we won't be offended because it was just a dream. Plays, theater, it's not real. It doesn't really matter, right? But that's Puck, right? That's Puck telling us that. Why should we trust Puck? Puck loves to play. Look at the fools these mortals be, right? Like, he loves tricking us. And so, to me, the whole play has been showing that dreams are actually magical and revelatory and disclosive of higher truth and higher reality. So if the play has been a dream from a dream, from a perspective that appreciates dreams, that's saying the theater and perhaps life itself opens itself up to these higher realities and truths and potentials. But Puck kind of, like, this is Shakespeare's genius, is he kind of soothes the anxieties of the haters, but also gives lots of inspiration and poetic sort of beauty in his expression of those higher possibilities.
Mm-hmm. One of the things that I'd forgotten about that play is that Shakespeare very commonly will have a troupe of actors in the play, and so it's like
Yes,
the play
right.
within a play,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah, yeah,
and those are like the comic characters often because we're like, ha ha, look at us, we're
yeah, yeah,
just
yeah.
here to
Exactly,
entertain,
exactly.
and he has that in several of his plays. It's kind of a theme for Shakespeare.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And this reminds me of the whole thing of a dream within a dream. That sometimes you have a dream, and then is it a dream?
Exactly.
But then I wake up in the dream, but I'm still dreaming. Like there's,
Well, and this is where Shakespeare's plays, and he drew a lot of his inspiration and actual plots and characters from Ovid's Metamorphoses, which is a classical Roman era compendium of myths that are everything is changing, everything is constantly transforming and metamorphizing in one thing into another. And this is also a theme in classical Hindu mythology. If we go back, other traditions where this idea of like a myth within a myth within a myth
yeah,
starts to make you realize that there's no point in trying to separate it out. It's all we're constantly shifting from one mode of being in reality to another, and the continuity isn't in the boundaries that we set between these states. It's in our own evolving selfhood. So this is why people get very. I think Shakespeare still is speaking to us because even if we don't in the modern West always have language for that kind of spiritual intuition of the profound metamorphic qualities of our reality. We like to think of things as being stable and things are what they are. And in Shakespeare, characters are always changing gender, they're changing clothes, they're doing this,
right,
they're doing that. It's but that's truer to life. And this is what the paradox of where what he presents on stage sometimes feels truer to life than life itself. And in that way also very much like our biggest dreams
right.
that can feel just hyper real.
Right.
And yeah.
There we're kind of skirting around this whole idea of that reality is also like a play, and that there's a certain dreamlike quality to reality. And last week's podcast with Paul Levy was all about the idea of
Yeah.
reality as a dream, and it just really blew my mind. And
Yeah.
apparently it blew my public's mind because one of my videos went viral with it. But there's something so if you haven't seen that episode, check it out.
Yeah.
But there's something about the idea that even this waking life is a stage where we get to make choices of how to appear, how to dress in quotes, like how to be as a persona. And we choose the fellow actors, the people we're with, and we choose the plays, and like there's a lot about reality as a play.
Yeah.
As a
Well,
dream.
and the constraints on how much of the dream we can bring into reality. Because this again was uh Shakespeare had his own challenges in terms of what the authorities would accept and what those who were most invested in kind of the political and religious and commercial status quo. And he had to work within those parameters and be careful because people really, there were severe consequences um, if you said something that got, that offended the queen or
Yikes.
violated religious beliefs or something. So he found a way to kind of ride that the edge of that, saying a lot. And I part of my argument is that his dream language is a one of the primary ways that he connected with people kind of under the radar, but below the censor's attention.
Mm.
The 38 plays, there are two plays that don't have any dream references, but in the
Only
other
two
30,
of all of this?
yeah. Love, Labor's Lost and Henry VI, Part One.
Huh.
Other 36 plays, there are a total of 215 references. So there's a lot of, he mentions dreams, and a lot of it is just like little asides. You won't be able to dream of what happened. There's either positively, every time a man has an unexpected sexual encounter, he's like, am I dreaming or is this real? You know, like that's a constant thing.
That's hilarious. Women
And then,
know it's
uh,
real.
and then yeah, and then there are also moments of horror and tragedy where someone says, "Oh my God, I wish this was a dream. This is worse than any dream I could possibly have." So those aren't references to actual dreams, although there are several of those too. But what I found, this was the surprise in writing, was like realizing like each time he uses it, the word dream, even in these very brief little sort of allusions, he's hitting this note of dreams connect us with bigger imagination. Dreams expand our awareness of the world. Every time he mentions like, I wish I were dreaming, this is so horrible. You know, he's he's underscoring the value of dreams, which the religious authorities, the political authorities were not emphasizing. On the contrary, dreams were considered evidence of potential witchcraft, of treason, of any number of heresies. So the dream discourse at the time was very uh, cautious. And so again, anytime Shakespeare used the term, it brought it to people's minds. I think he was doing that for a reason.
Right. But I think, the everyday people, so like maybe the religious people and the royals or whatever,
Mhm.
were discounting the dreams. And yet maybe the everyday people were more connected to that earthy reality of
Exactly.
a dream, a dream.
Of the folk beliefs about dreams and their
Yeah.
connections to the fairy world,
Yeah.
to ghosts, to the rhythms of nature.
Yeah.
Yeah, he grew up a country boy,
Mm.
and I think that the nature references and the relation of dreams to nature, with Midsummer Night's Dream being I mean, to me, in every one of the plays, the forest is a dream space.
Yes.
Not just the Midsummer Night's Dream, but several of the other plays, the
Mhm.
so-called Green World plays. Yeah, this is where I started thinking like, oh, I'm kind of bringing some dream research to Shakespeare. I honestly believe that we owe him a tremendous debt of gratitude for opening these things up, opening these realms of human experience, and giving us language and kind of human context in which to understand them.
I think that's great. So we could talk about this for the
Yeah,
entire hour,
yeah,
but I want to touch in on
yeah.
a couple other things. We'll have a break and I
Yeah,
have some questions after the break, but I wanted to touch into the sleep and dream database, which
yeah,
is
yeah.
something that has to do with long-term dream journals. And like, then maybe there's some tie-in and that we have these, these many plays that we can connect together. It's like a whole series of dreams that Shakespeare
Right,
had put
right,
together.
right. No, 100%. Like,
Yeah.
and this is an insight of from Jung and many others. That as much as you can learn from one dream, you can learn more from a series of dreams.
Yes.
And we have these fun technologies now. I mean, sometimes put to very malign uses, but in dream research, I think very helpful in teasing out deeper themes, patterns, motifs, and also, so if you get a big collection of dreams, 1,000, 10,000, 100,000 dreams, say,
Wow.
you can find these recurrent patterns that really do reflect, at the simplest level, they reflect people's waking life concerns, the things that the people, the activities, the situations that you care most about reliably are reflected in dream patterns over large stretches of time,
Mhm.
which is interesting and relevant. I myself, being interested in kind of the spiritual and religious and sort of yonder realms of dreaming, something like the Sleep and Dream database, to be able to collect large numbers of dreams, enables us more precisely and efficiently, in a way, to find the singular dream, the anomalous ones, the big dreams and then to identify how exactly they are so big. What makes them different from other kinds of dreams? We only know that if we know what other kinds of dreams are like, and then we say, "Whoa, that's got flying, and that's got animals, and that's got falling, and that's got wonder and confusion," like a constellation of elements that, if and you probably would feel it, but if you see across a large stretch of dreams, you say, "Wow, that is really a singular dream."
Okay.
So it doesn't answer all questions, but I think it creates these kinds of analyses using these technologies can create a wonderful foundation for then deeper qualitative explorations.
Right. So it's interesting that there's like these singular dreams that really stand out, and I have found I have those that are very precious to me too, and that have
Yeah,
been very meaningful, and I'm also very interested in series of dreams,
yeah,
and then how they evolve because
right,
like the whole stage theme for me,
right.
like I've had dreams where there's chain link fence and I can't get up on stage, and then
Yeah,
there's another dream where I'm on stage but I can't remember the words, and then there's another dream where I'm having a great time
right,
singing. And so like these are, you might say they're all stage dreams. And
right.
yet there's for me there's an evolution, and sometimes I go
Yeah,
backwards and forward. And I like to
yeah,
focus on like the way they evolve.
yeah,
But
yeah,
there's
yeah,
people like, Bill Tumhoff, who also was on the show a while ago, who has this idea that people's dreams don't really change. And
yeah,
I
yeah,
guess if you look at, stage dream, another stage dream,
yeah,
okay, well, it's the same dream. But for me, they're not the same because there is an
yeah.
evolution.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I know Bill very well. I respect his work, draw upon
Yeah.
it all the time. On this one, I'm more sort of in your camp of seeing changes amid the continuity. I definitely see the continuities, and which is amazing, and strong evidence that dreams are not meaningless nonsense. Like Bill Domhoff has helped us make that point, I think, very clearly to the broader scientific community. And if they don't accept it, then that's just bias at that point.
Yeah, they're just ignoring
But
evidence. Hmm.
but the change, and this is where I've referenced the Elsewhere Dream Journaling app, where there's some features that help people look at characters, say, over a stretch of dreams. And yeah, you see like it changes, but in this dream they were like this, and that dream they were like that, and then you see, oh, but then I had another dream in that setting, but they were doing something totally different. Um, the tools are emerging to enable us to pick up on those kinds of um, sometimes difficult to discern, but nevertheless meaningful and important shifts and changes and developments in our dream lives. Yeah, every dream is. I mean, a recurrent dream is, at least in my experience, always has lots of new, different, weird things along with the recurrent theme. I barely ever have exactly the same dream
Hmm.
multiple times. Yeah.
Right. And there's exactly. Oh no, what was I thinking? Darn, I lost it.
Yeah.
It'll come back again. But so what is the Sleep and Dream database? This is like
Yeah.
a database of dreams, or is this a
Yeah.
place for people to contribute their dreams, or what is a?
Yeah. The database is a collection of uh, research surveys. It's primarily it's not an open for like anybody to contribute to their dreams. I mean, contact me. We talk about it. We work something out. Uh, in part for because I just want people to be comfortable and know what they're getting into. But it includes research surveys, anthropological reports, historical sets of things. Um, the Elsewhere Dream Journaling app is more of the kind of what I'm involved with. And I'm a lot of people sort of leading the charge with that. Is for anybody to use, and there is. I guess it may not totally be active yet, but there is a portal from Elsewhere to the SGDB if people want to contribute their dreams for research purposes. But that's a voluntary thing. But
The Elsewhere app is where you can like journal your own dreams. Like
yeah.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
there's a free version where many of the fun tools are available, and then paid stuff where and the number of, this is a whole other topic, but the number of interpretation modes that are available using AI resources, which have evolved. The team has been very mindful of the various ethical issues around any kind of AI use, and I think we're in a better place than pretty much any other app out there. But on that front, but the different to be able to interpret, excuse me, a dream. Just I want to look at from Jung's point of view. I want to look at it from Lacan's point of view. I want to look at it from comparing it to Bible verses. I want to think about it in terms of gender. Like there's distinct modes that have been created, and this is where like people they say, but I could just go on ChatGPT and type in and interpret my dream. Like Oh my gosh, you're going to get such nonsense out. These are like this team, the Elsewhere team has like tested these things, written really, really, really careful, and I've written a couple of them, so I can say like I'd like to these on mine, informed by actual text. I wrote the Jung mode, and I wrote maybe the spiritual mode, and maybe the Freud mode. So anyway, so this to me is like opens up access to dream knowledge in a really radical way, and so I'm excited about that. So where that's all going to go.
Okay. Thank you. This is fascinating. So my guest today is Kelly Bulkeley, and his webpage is bulkeley.org. Am I getting that right?
Yeah.
Bulkeley. And that's KELEY .org. And we're talking about dreams as play, as well as some things about long-term dream journaling. And we will have more after the break. I already have a few questions that were submitted over Instagram for me to ask you, Kelly. So get ready for that.
All right.
And we always do get into the good stuff after the short break.
All right.
And I want to let you guys know that next week our guest will be the amazing Robert Moss. So the string of like amazing guests really continue.
Lucky you.
So I'm looking forward to talking to Robert again. He is a fabulous dreamer and all about synchronicity and ancient views of dreaming, things like that. So I'm excited to talk to him next week. The Dream Journal is broadcast live from the KSQD studios in Santa Cruz and co-broadcast live in San Jose by KCXU. We are podcast everywhere on the Monday after the show. Full-length videos of the conversation can be found on Spotify and also on my YouTube page at Experiential Dreamwork. We will be right back. This is the Dream Journal, and I am Katherine Bell of Experiential Dreamwork. Thank you so much for your generous ratings and reviews for the pod, and for sharing episodes on your social media. To help us spread interest in dreaming, follow us by looking for a hashtag The Dream Journal and at Experiential Dreamwork on your favorite social media. But most importantly, consider telling your friends about the show. You might just find your next dream sharing buddy. Today's guest is Kelly Bulkeley, a PhD up in Oregon, and we're so grateful to have you on the show talking about the spirit of the play and dreaming, and of course these many other topics that he's written. We're up to 8 or 9 books now. What do you?
Oh, really? You want to know?
Well, no, I don't know. I don't need to count. I know how it is. You can write books and they don't necessarily all come out. Because you talked about how prolific you are. Just I understand. Yes.
Yes, I've written a lot of books. Lucky me. Yes.
That's great. Well, I wanted to say that one of the questions that I got on Instagram for you, which is of the books that you have written, which ones, as in parentheses, which one holds a special place for you and why?
Yeah. Well, probably Lucretia the Dreamer. Which came out in 2018, and that felt like only I could write that, or somehow. And you're going to get Robert Moss on next week, so he wrote a chapter in one of the Secret History of Dreaming book, a chapter about her. I
don't know who that is.
No, she's to my view, she's sort of the qualifies like the patron saint of dreamers. She's the young woman who lived in late 16th century Spain. There's a fascinating Shakespeare connection here. That's a footnote in both books. I won't talk about now, but her father was a minor official in the court of King Philip, who's the ruler of the greatest empire in the world, the most holy the most Catholic king, I think was his title, uh, uh, and she was a poor, illiterate young woman, but was a dreamer and gained a reputation in her neighborhood as a big dreamer, which was a bad thing. Again, one of these times in a situation where like that was a really bad thing.
Hmm.
And her father really said, no, cut it out. She had a prophetic dream about an illness to the royal family, and that was just like that's dangerous. That's witchcraft. So, but then some priests got interested, had heard about her, and worked out a deal. Her father was traveling a lot, so they worked out a deal where the priest could come to her apartment right near the Plaza Mayor in Madrid and record her dreams each morning whenever she had them and woke up. And uh, and she agreed. Her mother, they said this would be in the context of confession, so it'll be okay. You won't get in trouble. You just tell us whatever, right? And they record her dreams, and there are a bunch of just amazing things that are documented that are in his historical record, because at the end of a process where she began dreaming that the Spanish Armada, the great naval fleet that Philip was sent to attack England, everyone was very excited. There was like literally like round the clock prayer vigils in Madrid to get to help the Armada. And Lucretia kept dreaming that it would fail. And when it did fail, people kind of freaked out. And for a while, she's like, whoa, she's a prophet or something. Like, what is this? But then the king decided and the people around her, he didn't like them. So long story short, she was arrested by the Spanish Inquisition, imprisoned, interrogated, tortured, and held for a total of 5 years. Never confessed to anything other than being a dreamer. Yeah. So she was given every opportunity to confess to something. So anyway, we know all this because those damn inquisitors, they were really good record keepers. And so I went to the archives in Madrid and read the transcripts, and there's a bunch of translations, a couple translations of the work of those dreams in English. But I went to check them out for myself. I know those Spanish. And so what I wanted to do was like write a book that would like the conceit was if I could go back in a time machine and be testify, like be an expert witness on behalf of the defense and say, hey, what she's describing, we know is actually that she's a big dreamer. She's not a witch. She's not a heretic. She's not making it up. If she were making it up, my God, that'd be crazy. Like to go through years of imprisonment and torture. Yeah. Like she wasn't a pathological narcissist. There's no evidence of that. She was a big dreamer. The best evidence was that she was a big dreamer. So writing that book to answer the question, yeah, I just felt like the couple of things were out there, and Robert's book accepted, or the chapter, but that was just a chapter, and there's more even than in that story that I felt I could bring to the world. So
is it like a fictionalized account of like her life or something, or is it more documentary style?
It's like I think I started by saying this is a true story.
Okay, wow.
It's a true story.
It is.
There's evidence. To my view, it's the best documented case of prophetic precognitive dreaming in history. Okay. And the most consequential, in the sense that, like, if the king had listened to her, they might have saved themselves some trouble. But of course, what king is gonna listen to an illiterate teenage girl, right? Not gonna happen.
Man, that whole thing about precognitive dreaming, like it causes all kinds of problems. Like, I mean, in terms of like our view of reality, the nature of like time moving in one direction. But if we have a precognition of what's happening in the future, then it doesn't only move in one direction. And
and how do we? It seems to be an eternal challenge. How do we accommodate that capacity of our human nature with our political and social structures that seem to always feel threatened by that kind of power, that kind of capacity. So, but it doesn't get any better if we just pretend it never happened. So part of it was just like, I wanted to, really wanted to tell that story.
Right. Oh, interesting. Okay. So, and when did she live?
She was born in 1568, and we don't know when she died. She was what did they do? She, after 5 years of imprisonment, which is rare. Like usually, like the Inquisition is like they, you're if they've got you, they consider you
Mhm.
guilty. But they couldn't. They knew they might be wrong. They knew that
Mhm.
she might be a prophet. And I think that's why they just couldn't. They kept wanting her to confess. That would make it easy, but she wouldn't confess because she, in my view, she was telling the truth from the beginning.
Mhm.
So finally, she was exiled. Her parents were just ruthless. Her father wouldn't take her in. She was sent to spent a couple years in a leper hospital, and then we don't know. We don't know what happened.
Well, the parents probably afraid because if she was in such
Oh yeah,
persona non grata, they could be prosecuted too, and lose their homes and all
her,
that. So
her father was quoted in Inquisition records as saying, as telling her, like, "You keep dreaming like this, I'll turn you into the Inquisition myself. You know, stop."
because it's scary. It's scary to the idea time doesn't proceed linearly. I mean, I've had one or
Yeah,
two precognitive
yeah,
dreams, and it's kind of some of them are like, yeah, I don't
yeah,
know,
yeah.
maybe. But then recently I had one that was just out of the blue, and then a week later, I had this really intense thing happen to me, and I'm like, oh, I think it was like preparing me or something.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Where our minds are always thinking about time. You know what? In awake, why do we think that would stop when we go to sleep? You know, so
yeah, but she wasn't like calculating the Navy's chances of success or something. As far as we know, she wasn't
well,
like reading. She didn't have access to information about that. It was
it's. I mean, it
okay.
was. This is interesting. It's. I mean, not to the like. It goes beyond what we can rationally fathom. But it was a small community. She worked in the palace for a time.
Mhm.
She was like the fourth nursemaid to the king's third son kind of thing for 5 months. Um, and and her home was a apparently a lot of relatives and friends and neighbors would come in and chat. It was a very oral
Mm.
community, and people knew stuff. It was like living in Washington D.C. or something, like a capital city. Like people
But
talk.
small with a lot of people with
And so
small.
I don't think that means that she. I just think that she had an amazing. She was an amazing dreamer, and
Uh-huh.
she, she could pick up on things that were happening, and she realized like, hey, maybe this isn't going to work out as well as everybody wants. I don't know. That's
Okay. Well,
shows that
then
we.
there's the aspect maybe like Shakespeare that she's really very intuitively understood human nature, and so she could tell things weren't quite going right. So, well, that's different because you started out by saying this is like evidence for a precognitive dream, and you're like, no, you feel like you're backtracking a little bit. Just saying.
Well, I give the evidence as it is,
Yeah.
and precognitive in the sense, like the first, like when she first got going, the priest first says, "We want to do this recording with you. I'm going to send in one of my young priests." Uh, and after a month, the young priest takes all the dream records that he'd recorded of hers and burns them,
Oh,
And the older priest said, "What the hell? Like you were going?" He
right.
said, "She told a dream where it describes my monastic cell, which nobody has seen. Certainly not a woman.
Okay.
This is not. This is like I." So I freaked out. I burned it. And the older guy said, "Get back in there. This is exactly what we're doing. Like this is like that's what we got here. So
Okay.
ride with it."
Interesting.
So she had some kind of something that I don't think can be accounted for rationally or in a sort of conventional cognitive way. But there's also it didn't come out of nowhere
Mm-hmm.
either. So yeah,
Okay. Interesting.
wonderful to me. Just she her courage in staying true to her conviction that she was telling her dreams, and there's nothing wrong with that. I feel is like that's that qualifies for sainthood in my dream theology. So
Right. And this is called Lucretia, the story of Lucretia?
Lucretia the Dreamer.
Lucretia the Dreamer. Okay, great. Well, I want to switch gears here and
Yeah,
talk
yeah,
about this library for Jeremy Taylor that you've
yeah,
been
yeah, yeah.
assembling. And this is a project you've been working on for a while, and you're getting closer and closer to completion. Like, tell us all
Yeah.
about it. Like, where's it going to be?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
What's going to
So
be in
this
it?
is this is here where my wife and I lived in a town called Estacada, Oregon, about an hour outside of Portland, southeast, so in the foothills of Mount Hood. And when Jeremy passed away, of course, many of you know Jeremy and his works, and passed away a couple of days after his wife Kathy died, and in helping Tristy, their daughter, sort of settle, their house and all their things, we arranged that I would take care of his books and his journals, which I was happy to do, even though I didn't know what I was getting into. And when I went to the house with the some guys in a moving truck, like, oh my God, I don't think Jeremy ever threw away a book in his life. There were when the moving truck, I think I've weighed at some point on the ride up here, is 15,000 pounds of books.
Wow.
So and his journals, which I'm taking care of, and so yeah, so I've got a bunch of my own books, and other people have been, when someone passes away, or there's a couple of people when they've moved and they've been collecting their dreams for a long time and they don't know what to do with them, or schools don't want them, Jung Institute doesn't want them, and I say, well, don't throw them away, please. So I've, much to my family's sort of dismay, I've been just kind of piling up boxes and collections of things, and over the years, and so now finally we have a space, build a standalone structure that will be a long-term archive for these materials, and for other things that hopefully will come along, I can make this available. And yeah, and we'll have some gatherings there. The Elsewhere Dream Animation Film Festival. We had our third third annual showing of the winners at the library right after the conference. We cleared it out enough. It's not done. It's still, there's finished work and little this is and that still to be done. So I'm trying to be patient, not just let the people building it are neighbors or local craftsmen, craftspeople, and are doing it's just spectacular. Really, really beautiful space. I'm very excited to be able to share it with people. Have some gatherings there. Get to my own work. Like in the first instance, it's just going to be kind of it's where my books and my desk will be, and the cats, if I decide to let them in there. There's so disgusting. I may not, but I'm still thinking about that.
Choice, the cats.
Yeah, but
yeah. Well, ISD
yeah.
will be back in Ashland at some point. We've been at Ashland 23 and 26. We
Yeah,
don't
I
know
hope
when
so.
it's going to be 28 or 29 or something. We'll be back in Ashland and
I'd
maybe
love it.
be ready by then to
Oh my
have
gosh, yeah.
some-
Yeah. Hopefully by we'll be doing some things next year. And I do, like, at some level it's kind of a piece of performance art in a way, like
Hmm.
a dream, like something dedicated to dreams like this exists at all, and for anywhere. And to just have a space for dedicated to our favorite topics. It's just, something I've been looking forward to. So knock on wood, fingers crossed, keep it all going. It's built with a lot of wildfire sensitivity, good perimeter, materials, metal roof, all that.
Well,
we do live in wildfire country, so
yes, absolutely.
That's something I worry about. But,
at this point, the whole world is wildfire country, but
yeah,
it's
yeah,
wise to be conscious of that. Well, Jeremy Taylor was an amazing influence on a lot. He's a lot of the dreaming. He was one of the founders of IASD, I understand, and he was. I like to think of him as the Johnny Appleseed of dream teachers, and that he would go around hosting dream groups all over the country and inspiring people to start their own. And my attending one of his groups in Santa Cruz back in, must have been late 90s or something, was the start of me really getting excited and forming my own dream group. And it really got me started with dreaming. And he was going to be the keynote at one of the Festival of Dreams, and he died just like a couple weeks or maybe a month or two before we were gonna have the festival, and so we had to fund. So it was like, couldn't you wait a little longer?
Yeah.
But so I never got to hear him do a keynote, but I'm sure there's a lot of video stuff of him too that you want to.
Oh yeah. No, we'll there's a lot of stuff that's in storage that I really want to get out, because there were there's some awards that he'd been received, gifts that people had given him that I want to really honor. I mean, a lot of people, he touched so many people, and I feel a real responsibility to among other things make this a place where his teachings and kind of the spirit of his work can be preserved and still kind of people can still enjoy that and learn from it. And yeah, and he not only had books, dream books. Of course, he had a bazillion dream books, but he had amazing, like probably the biggest uh, topic of books that he had, or subject, was mythology. He had like more mythology books, and I mean, oh my God, they just went on and on. He had a huge collection of books about poetry and collections of poetry, graphic novels, art, like enormous things about art, psychology, of course. There's somewhere in there, I think through a Freedom of Information Act request, he got access to his own FBI files, or the big dash of like what the FBI had on him.
Oh, interesting. Okay, a suspicious
radical
character going around telling people about dreams.
Well, he. I mean, I think now we'd say he was prescient. He saw where the world was going, and he was telling us, and letting us, helping us see how our dreams were telling us too.
Well, my recollection of one of the ways he got started doing these dream groups was had to do with race relations.
Yeah,
getting people of different races more comfortable with each other, recognizing they're humans and they all have dreams.
Yeah, and dreams are a kind of a lingua franca. They enable people to connect across differences in really powerful ways. So yeah, he's I mean, I got started. My mother was working and attending San Francisco Theological Seminary in San Anselmo. She's got a Master of Divinity degree there, Presbyterian school, and Kathy Taylor was working there.
Okay.
And somehow, like in the administrative office or something, and somehow they got talking, like, oh, my husband is really interested in dreams. Well, my son's really interested in dreams. Oh, we should put them together. So I vividly remember first
that's amazing.
meeting Jeremy, going to their house in San Rafael at that time, and then first workshop that I attended, he did at the San Geronimo Community Center in San Geronimo, kind of Western Marin, and oh my God, I was so hooked. I was just so hooked so quickly.
Kelly, this is great. Oh, this is amazing. And thank you so much for all your work around this. This must be huge commitment and time and money and just, your energy.
It's what my life is now. I think.
Excellent.
And I'm good with that. Yeah.
And thank you for all the books that you've put out into the world. It's been really inspiring. So great to have you on the show. I'm going to have to let you go, but I wonder if you can finish with just a few words of encouragements for our listeners to take with them. Just with something.
Yeah. Well, our dreams are, they know us so well, and they mean us well. And even when dreams are scary, or even when we're like in our waking lives or out of control, or things aren't going the way we want, our dreams are still going to hang with us. So I feel like in a world where it's hard to trust kind of anything at the moment, I really feel at the end of the day, you can trust your dreams.
Wow. I love that. Kelly Bulkeley, thanks so much. This is a real pleasure.
Yeah. Thank you, Katherine.
All right.
Good to be with you. Yeah.
Take care. And thank you all for listening. The Dream Journal is produced at the studios of KSQD in Santa Cruz. We are live every Saturday at 10 a.m. Pacific at ksqd.org. I am Katherine Bell. You can contact me at experientialdreamwork.com or at Katherine@ksqd.org, Katherine with a K. Keep up with the shows on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and especially on YouTube by following at Experiential Dreamwork. I'd like to thank Rick Kleffel, engineer and music creator, audio editing by Suki Wessling, phones by Eric Nelson. Intro and outro pieces are both by Mood Science. And tomorrow morning when you wake up, take a minute to write down your dream and bring it to the next Dream Journal.